right, I will call this meeting to order. Our Board of Education for the Pewaukee School District, Monday, March 23rd. I will start with roll call. Mary?
Here.
Travis?
Here.
Stacey?
Here.
Larry?
Here.
And Ashley and Matt are not in attendance. Was the meeting properly noticed?
The meeting was properly noticed.
Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Oppose.
We'll stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. Tonight's Spotlight on Learning comes from Asa Clark, and we have Michelle Stanke here, our 7th grade physical education teacher. And I'll have you come on up.
Hello, Michelle. Thanks for being here.
Hi, good evening. Thank you
Hi.
for having me. So I was part of the action research with Mr. Zindler, and when that was presented to us, it was all inviting us to do a project and some research on something you're really passionate about. And at the end of the day, I want kids to love movement and activity and find a way to make that part of their world forever, not just in their K-12 experience with us, but when they leave our doors, I want them to love some sort of movement so they can make healthy choices. And so my research project I titled More Choice, More Movement, in finding ways to keep kids active through PE throughout their day at school and what that looks like at a middle school level. So, real quick before we go into the research and kind of what I found, we're just gonna go right down the table. If you could give me like one word that kind of describes your PE experience, from whether it's good, bad, or in between, loved it, you've kind of neutral, or you dreaded it. I'd love to hear kind of what your memory of PE looks like. So, can we start on this side?
I feel like it was fun in PE or in like elementary school. I didn't have to do PE in middle school, so I don't know.
Okay. Anna?
I think it was enjoyable.
Okay.
I liked it.
No pressure. Was she your PE teacher at?
Some years.
I was. I had a handful of students, yes.
I mean, it probably was fine in terms of, because you were doing something in the PE classes, so.
Right?
I was a bookworm, so I dreaded it.
Okay.
I didn't love it, and I'll say fitness testing, 100-yard dash.
Yeah. Okay.
I loved it. The thing that came to my mind was rope climbing
Sure.
and how they let us climb my
All the way to the
Catholic
top?
grade school all the way to the top of
We
the
go up and honk the horn.
with like a really thin mat at the bottom, just like my buddy to catch me if I fell.
No. Mr. Pizzo?
Loved it.
Loved it.
Basketball, I remember.
Basketball?
I would say loved it because it got me out of class.
Okay. Okay. So lots of different experiences, right? Some of you ball sports, some of you maybe fitness road, just a lot of experiences and a lot of things that help you remember your PE days. So my why is this my passion? As I want kids to be active, I want kids to like moving, I want them to find enjoyment in it so that they continue to be active. And so when I did the research, it wasn't like earth-shattering. It wasn't like we knew that it was going to say it's going to increase student motivation. It's going to increase their engagement. They prefer to have that choice. They like to make decisions on their own. They're more apt to be engaged and fully participating when they're making choices. And then it does affect their long-term attitudes and perspective on PE, and just physical activity in general was what I found doing research. The big piece for me was figuring out how do we make this work given space, giving equipment, trusting students where we're in and out and monitoring them, and the amount of space that we have, the amount of students we have at a time. So a lot of logistics played a role into my research and trying to figure it out. So what happened ultimately when we gave students a choice? We saw all those things happen. So engagement was high. We didn't have kids just standing on the side watching the ball go back and forth or whatever the activity may be. There was a lot of engagement. Participation jumped. Decreased avoidance. We weren't hearing a lot of excuses or medical excuses. They came in and kind of ready to go. And what are my choices today? Decreased resistance. Those kind of go hand in hand. But fewer power struggles overall. Increased gameplay, which was nice because kids that tended to choose the basketball, those games amped up. That intensity amped up because it took out kids that weren't comfortable in that, who chose to do something else that was to their liking. So even students that stayed with the traditional sport that we had going felt like there was an increase of energy and increase of participation in those activities. And then the increase in accountability. We were still able to assess students when they were making their choices. We brought back some pedometers and we had goals set. So they were still being held accountable for their engagement and their participation overall. And like for us as teachers, right, it's just monitoring it and tracking it all and making sure we were organized well enough to be able to provide choice. But it definitely made students more willing to participate and be engaged. So those are kind of the big takeaways that I would say Mr. Schultz and I were able to take from the research that we did. My students did this for the whole semester. That would have been first semester of the school year. And then we added Mr. Schultz as one of his 7th grade sections just for the second quarter. So we had a little bit more student take on it kind of once we got into the routine and the process of having kids make choices. So when we were all said and done, we did a student survey, and these next couple slides kind of represent the thoughts and the feelings that we had. But some of the quotes that I was able to get from students, I feel like people who were picked the sport were more engaged, so it made it more fun, was a comment made by Victoria. A student named Madeline, I participated in more in the activity instead of just kind of standing there doing nothing. And then Adam, being able to do something I actually wanted to do motivated me to actually try in every activity. And that was the common thread. Like, students just wanted to have choice and a say in what their options were and what their interests were in. Another question, did having choices make you want to come to PE class more? And we have 2 charts here because one was from my class that did this the whole semester, and then one was from Mr. Schultz, who did that for a quarter. But ultimately, a lot of kids preferred having that choice and having that option versus not. Just because it opened up the doors for them to do more things and try new things and learn new things, which takes us right into that next slide, where students, did choosing your activities help you improve your skills or learn new ones? And ultimately, yes. Like, I was able to have kids bring in mountain bikes and helmets, and we stored them, and they were doing that when other kids were playing tennis and walking around the prairie. And so just a lot of variety that when we're on the campus like this and we have the space like this, that we need to allow our students to do. And like, they owned it. They were excited. They were coming in and like, let's go, and where's my stuff? And so it was really exciting to see that. Versus not participating and standing there or watching the ball and not really being engaged. This, like, the connections we made and the connections students kind of made, this came from their survey that we did at the end of the semester. So overall, they're feeling that it increased their engagement and motivation, comfort and collaboration with their peers. So who were they working with? They felt comfortable in their groups or their teams. Improved team dynamics, so it allowed our teams to be a little bit more intense and engaged, and just the performance in some of those team activities was much stronger. And then, of course, better understanding of skills. We were kind of able to meet them more at their level, and if there was a group that needed more challenge, to kind of pump them up and energize them to work harder, or if we could separate a group that was still learning and developing the skills, and it just allowed us to make those connections a little bit better. So overall, the kids bought in. They really enjoyed it. They liked the opportunities that we had. So this platform is like, how did I make this happen? I found this organization it's a K-12 platform of curriculum and opportunities for students. And the material that they push out is really, really solid, and it meets the kids at their needs. Like it's made for middle school students, it's made for high school students. It really grabs their interest. So there's boxing, and there's dance, and there's yoga, and then there's the sport side of it, like athletic side of it, where it might be a conditioning or a speed day and things like that. So they have all these different tiers of videos and curriculum that I can pull from, and it was really powerful, and that's some of the material that we used. And I can see where this would transition from middle school to high school very nicely, for the fact that like students can have their own accounts, and they can track their day-to-day stuff, and they can track whether they're in the weight room or they're doing a workout in the gym and they're shooting hoops for 20 minutes, and they can track all these different things. So it's just a nice progression. I don't feel that middle school students need that. I think the resources that are there for middle school students are appropriate for Mr. Schultz and I to use to be able to push out to students. But maybe if this continues on, that would be a path we would look at as to all the tracking and individual fitness, I guess, checkoffs that students could do. But this platform has kind of been how we've implemented this in the program that we've used. A couple pictures in here of different activities that students have done throughout the semester. The one playing Capture the Flag, and I know the videos will stop here, but they're kind of circling that cone. They're garters, but they're wearing pedometers. So the choices during that were cross country, Capture the Flag, and then I had a body weight exercise going on, which was more video based off a platform. But those were the three choices. And the kids playing Capture the Flag had pedometers on, because I knew how many steps I went out to the prairie and did as many laps as they would have done. So I had an idea of how many steps they needed for that alternative activity, knowing Capture the Flag was probably going to be the high interest activity. So I wanted to challenge them as equal as I could to the kids that were completing their laps. And so we were successful in that, and that's why there was that purposeful movement around those cones, just accumulating their steps, doing the activity that they chose. So where are we heading now? So this semester, we've continued using platform, being able to pull some of their curriculum and their videos into our 7th grade classes. That's kind of the group that we've started with. Next year, we hope to expand it into 8th grade and allowing those choices and that ownership when they come to PE. That will then continue to help us set goals, set some fitness tracking ability, so we can see their progress as time goes on. As far as 6th grade, we give 6th graders choice within the sport that we're in, but we still feel very strongly that as that transition occurs from Horizon to ASA, we still need to hit that traditional PE setting, and we need to introduce them to all of our activities, make sure we give them a good introduction to all the skills and sports and things that we introduce that it might be new, and then let that grow from there. So that's kind of the progress and the stepping stones that we have going forward. But it's been really exciting to kind of see the kids take some ownership and be a little bit more excited for their movement and their overall fitness and health when they come to PE. So, any questions, any thoughts?
Can I jump in before you ask any questions? Really
Sure.
quickly? So I just wanted to kind of talk about the purpose of Michelle standing up here. So it's, when we think of school, right, we don't think PE is not the first thing that comes to mind. However, when you think about middle school and adolescence and the developmental level that they're at and what physical exercise can do, not only physically but emotionally and to their well-being, PE is a big part of their day. And so that's part of what we're talking about. We think about UDL. This is universal design for learning in a PE setting, right? And we're building the foundation for not only 6th grade, but in the 7th grade and 8th grade. And with platform, the idea is that they will be able to have choice in their physical activity and have those opportunities to seek what they want to do, probably more than what they need to do. And like in whether it's climbing rope or playing basketball or whatever, and when everybody's doing the same thing, it doesn't always shape out nicely for everybody. So those are some elements of what I wanted to make sure from a leadership standpoint in our building, what you're understanding the connection between why we have Michelle up here talking about her research with you tonight. So
Thank you.
Just before we get into questions, one of the things, and maybe, I don't know, Anthony, maybe I'll have you speak a little bit about the action research option for professional development for staff.
Yeah, so ultimately our high-performing staff members who sit in our two highest career band levels, they ultimately go through a truncated process, almost like if you were to like defend a dissertation or something like that. So they start with an idea, and then they ultimately meet with a review committee, and right now that is myself, Colin, Robin, the three of us, and Dave Zindler, who runs the program. They present their idea to us, and based on their proposal, they move forward. From there, they do a research review and a lit review, and then they further kind of define what their focus is going to be. Ultimately, the goal is to get to the end and to be able to take what they've learned and have an impact on our system. So in Michelle's case, she has learned some things through this process, and she is having an impact in the middle school PE spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so much like your students experienced, you had choice as a professional. Michelle's a very good teacher. She's met very high standards. So, we have our established professional development model, which has a lot of choice in and of itself with different pathways and those things. But teachers who have had established success can then choose to say, I want to challenge myself differently and do that in lieu of some of these other approaches. And the whole idea is, right, to learn something and make a contribution, which is what any research is. If you do a thesis or a dissertation, right, your task really is to make a contribution to the body of research. In this case, action research is about make a contribution to our practices here by trying to learn something about what works. So anyway, just wanted to give some background before you start asking questions, so to make sure you're familiar with the action research option.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
So on the slide that you had where the engagement, was that engagement just within the PE, or do you think there's any carryover into their other academic courses in areas?
So the way the question was worded was engagement strictly within PE, but I think the more engagement and the more buy-in we have in physical activity and the more they're moving is ultimately going to better their day, right? It's going to help them sustain their attention and their learning and throughout the day just naturally. So I would hope that we would, over time, we would start to see that connection take place. I didn't track that. I didn't go from like PE to the classroom and track that data, but I would think that there would be a carryover.
Well, and Paul might have experienced it in terms of behaviors.
Behavior, for sure.
Stuff like that. So
Yeah.
the other question, and this might date me really badly, but in terms of Presidential Fitness Awards, is that still out there yet or not?
Well,
That was actually my favorite part.
Toe touch always got it.
What's that?
I don't know that it's officially like a required element at this point. I know there was some talk over the summer in the government out east that they were bringing it back, but I don't know if that's like I'm not sure where that stands.
The shuttle run always got me.
Yeah.
Couldn't quite hit the time of the shuttle run.
Well, you crack me up that you're talking about climbing that rope. You're like 1% of the population that can climb that rope.
The strength stuff
Yeah.
I was good, but the shuttle run I wasn't quite.
Right. I appreciate your creativity, and I feel like if you've got 3 different activities and there's one of you, I appreciate your ability to supervise and keep that all going.
So that was the biggest piece. Is part of this research is like how do we structure this? So how we kind of made it work is we still have our traditional sports going on. So let's say, like if I was doing badminton and Mr. Schultz in the Aux gym might have been doing speedball or something, right? We have 2 more main sports, and then I might have had dance and he might have had boxing. So we really had like 4 different things going on that kids could choose, but they had to stay with their main, the 2 alternative activities they could switch between, but they couldn't switch between the sports, which kind of kept them in their original class for the most part, because otherwise we ran into too many kids just trying to be with their peers. But it worked really well. So we talked to the kids at the beginning of the semester about being we have to trust you, and we have to trust that what you're doing is going to match what the expectations are, and if that didn't happen, Like there were consequences laid out, and they understood that. So the kids have taken it really well. There's been very little poor behavior because of it. So
I'm intrigued to see if it helps participation in the high school. Like as these kids move forward, that they have a better attitude, unlike me, that just did all those years hating it. Like maybe they're gonna have a better attitude
some kind of follow
moving
through
to.
going forward. Sure.
That'd be really interesting.
I know that if you had been my teacher, I would have loved Fayette.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was gonna be my question, and I think maybe you've kind of already answered it, is what's the barrier or the challenge? So as other teachers look to, I mean, is it the planning, is it the supervision? Yes, all the above, that makes it more challenging to build in that choice, because, right, there's more moving parts.
There's definitely more moving in the space, right? And you got kids obviously moving. So it is that we have to have really strong structure in place and stick to that and keep the kids accountable for following that. And as long as we do that, I feel like our problems have been pretty minimal. But yeah, definitely planning and laying out who's going to do what are their options. We ask that they stick to that option for those 2 weeks, which really only ends up being about 3 PE classes. And then they have choice again. So even if they end up not loving what they chose, at least they experienced something new. They thought maybe they would like it, and in 2 weeks they choose something else.
So but the students are, so your students are still remaining with you for that unit, correct?
Yes.
'Cause there was a point in time where I remember you and Tim, kids selected almost at the beginning of the quarter or semester.
Yeah, so they would stay with me, unless, this is where it's a little gray. So I have my class is doing pickleball, and then I'm also offering dance. And then Tim is offering speedball and boxing. My kids could go to boxing.
Okay.
His kids could come to
Got it.
dance,
Yep.
but they can't choose the opposite
alternate.
sports,
Yep. Got
the traditional sport.
You see if I
So-
could have had pickleball.
Yeah, if you would have had pickleball, you're doing good.
So yeah, it works. Like we have a really good system. We just have to be really organized. The kids need to understand the boundaries, and they're doing really well with it.
Just a quick comment that, so at the very start of my teaching career, I did a little subbing before I landed my first classroom job, and I remember getting an assignment to sub Fayette one day and thinking, this is gonna be, because I coached swimming, I coached all these, I'm like, this, totally different. It was one of the hardest things I ever had to sub for, was like, wow, this was not what I expected. So that's what I say, managing all of that.
Yeah.
I don't think people recognize what a challenge it is, so I
Yeah,
appreciate you
piece-
taking that on.
Thank you. So, any other questions?
I just wanted to add, like, I think it's so great that you're giving them that opportunity to choose. Like, producing that autonomy so young is so important, that when you get older and having the ability to be confident in the choices that you're making, like, even in just like a class in middle school, like, it's just so essential for them to have that experience young so that they can be more confident when they're making
That
those choices
confidence
when
thing, I
they're
think, is
older.
huge, right? As you leave our doors here in Pewaukee, and being confident to go play a pickup game of something, or go into a gym and lift weights and exercise, and just be confident in what you're doing, I think is so important when it comes to wellness and fitness and sport and whatever it is, whatever path they choose. I think that confidence, I think you just nailed it on the head right there, is really important.
I think similar to that, how you're talking about their need to be responsible, I think it's a nice opportunity for them to do that in a controlled environment and make good choices, and then have the consequence for the bad choices, because it's a little more unstructured than a classroom, right?
Right.
So I think that's a really good thing for that age group too.
Yeah, the kids have handled it well, so hopefully our system can go on, and we can, so now some of these 7th graders have experienced it this year, right? So we wanted to follow them into 8th grade, and then we'll continue to build from there, is our hope. So,
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Michelle.
Michelle.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Paul.
Michelle.
Good work.
thank you.
Did you ever have to do a Fayette class?
Thank you.
Oh, yeah? Being like, holy cow.
All
Yeah.
right.
Bands hard too. That's really hard.
Next, we have our student board representative report. Gals, I'll let you take it away.
All right.
Only a couple of these left, Anna.
No.
60
Make them count.
Exactly. All right, everybody. Happy March. Can't believe we're already in March. It feels like it's gone by so fast this year. So our first topic this month, we'd like to talk about the Winter Wellness Week that we had. This was a kind of school-wide assembly day, but then we also had our week that was kind of designated. Classrooms had different activities that they were asked to fulfill, maybe in the last 5 minutes of class, just kind of promoting that mental wellness and how important that is to your success and understanding how to take care of yourself, even as a high schooler, like just having those skills as you enter the real world. So our school-wide assembly, we had MCs Bobby Edwards, Trinity Smith, and Ashton Warner. We got the opportunity, as we had talked about in a previous meeting, we had the Pop Tabs Committee who were collecting Pop Tabs at all of the schools. So they actually ended up, unfortunately, Mr. DeSalt got pied. He was the one that had the most Pop Tabs in his bucket, but he was such a good sport about it. So props to him for putting up with that and doing something for such a great cause. And then the Drama Club had the opportunity to perform their Matilda song. That was really exciting to just kind of see a preview of the musical and just kind of promote the drama committee and kind of see all the hard work that they'd put in the last couple months. Furthermore, we have the Winter Court. So we had Queen Vanessa Johnson for basketball and King Brady Lawrence representing NHS, International Club, and Art Club. And then our cheer team had the opportunity to perform their cheer dance routine, which they actually went to state for. I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So that was really exciting to just kind of get to all rally around them. I feel like that's something that we don't really get to see outside of football season. So just getting to kind of celebrate them for that was really exciting. We also had our student versus teachers trivia contest. That got a little heated, but it was very enjoyable. It was just a great way to get staff and students just in a more fun and positive environment where you're working hard all day, and then just kind of rewarding to see everybody in a more, I guess, enjoyable light. And then
Wait, who won?
who won? It was actually students that won.
Wow.
Yeah, we had a group of 3 that won. It was
Okay.
2 senior boys and a junior boy. So very, very interesting. And then also United Way volunteer engagement team donated mental health kits to every single high school student. I have no idea how they managed to do that, but it's so incredible. It was like little bags that had a zipper on it, and they had fidgets inside and just like positive messages. So it was just something really nice to see, once again, partnering with local organizations through the Hope Squad, seeing that support from our community. And then Hope Squad also had free Hope Grams that were sent. There were so many, there were like hundreds sent throughout the week, just reminding people that they're cared for and to take care of themselves throughout the week. So that's a little bit about our Winter Wellness Week. Next, we have our Plant a Page initiative. This is kind of a newer one. I didn't see this last year, so I thought it was really interesting. So through March 1st to March 20th, we have all donation bins at the Pewaukee Public Library, and you can drop it off at the Pewaukee High School Library. But just kind of supporting Pewaukee Public Library, I think that's another great thing of being so close in partnership with our community and having that opportunity to just kind of support them. So people bring gently used books to this book drive to kind of just support a local initiative.
So we also had Warriors Wear Red this past month, which was organized by Cassie Hoyman this year. I believe her sister started it in years past. I don't know if it was new this year or last year, but we combined it between Student Council, which Cassie's on, and Best Buddies. It's held every year during a basketball game, and the halftime this year, some Best Buddy members did like basketball challenges and drills. So it was a mix of the special needs students and just members of Best Buddies, like just playing together, which was really great. I know we do some donations for both the club and I think just the Best Buddies organization because it's a national thing. So I always think that's really fun that we do it every year. And then our fourth topic is Future Ready Day, which happens every year. I was not excited for it this year because I had to take the ACT. But it was March 10th this year, the freshman job shadow. I remember my freshman year, I ended up leaving late because I was talking to the teacher I was shadowing for because I enjoyed it so much. Sophomores toured colleges, so WCTC, Madison, and Whitewater were the options that I knew of. And then the juniors took the ACT, and seniors participate in Reality Store. So some athletics and activities. The Hope Squad had Eating Disorder Awareness Week. The cheer team went to state for their cheer dance routine. Academic decathlon placed third at state. Owen Hansen tied the state record and set a school record for a perfect essay score. Devanshu earned an invitation to in-person nationals in Garden Grove. The wrestling team set a school record this weekend with all 6 state qualifiers winning matches, which was also a lot of qualifiers to send, at least in the years I've been here. We've never sent that many. So Keegan, Henry, Brody, and Bobby all placed 8th. And then Best Buddies had a partnership with the Special Olympics. So March 4th was Speak Out Day. We all signed banners at lunch to pledge kindness to everyone. And then girls basketball won their 5th consecutive regional title, 84-45 win over Germantown. And they went to state, but it's okay. They still went to state. Drama they had their opening weekend for Matilda, and the show was really great. And then spring sports began March 9th, starting with track. I know baseball is happening. In softball, I think soccer may have started already today.
Soccer rolling. Soccer is probably going. Yeah.
Right? And then for our salutes and recognitions, we wanted to recognize all the counselors and teachers for getting the Future Ready Days ready and just running smoothly. That's obviously such a big hassle for our counselors, but they do such a great job every year. And the job shadows are always so amazing. I always hear such great things from the freshmen, and they always enjoy it. Same with the college tours. And I just think that's something really special that our school has. I haven't heard of really any schools having that opportunity. And then the Spring Craft and Vendor Fair was Saturday, March 21st. We had a lot of local businesses and vendors and even students who had their own businesses. I know a lot of students had their own bakeries and at-home businesses similar to that, so they were all selling stuff there. And then the community volunteers for the reality store, that is always such a big thing, and I know that it takes a lot of time out of people's days, so just having that commitment to our school is so important. And then teachers, bus drivers, and administration for stepping in to help during the early dismissal, as that was not expected, but it ran so smoothly, and I feel like it couldn't have been done better. I mean, for something that was so out of nowhere, it was handled perfectly. And then for our Spotlight on Learning, we wanted to recognize Model United Nations, Mr. Douglas's class, he took his students to Michigan State Conference last weekend. So they got to participate there. Again, such an amazing thing that we get to do every year, and just going out of state and having that in-person ability to participate in something like Model UN. Experiencing Wisconsin with Mr. Yuskis, they were tapping maple trees outside during Winter Wellness Week. I think that's also something really cool. It's not something that you hear about often. And then psychology, CCIHS with Mrs. Buddy. She paired with second grade classes to create children's books. Again, just another great opportunity and the benefit of having such a close campus. And then personal finance, Mr. Prowl, learning about investments and creating diverse portfolios, which is such a life skill that I think everybody needs to know. So just having the opportunity to learn it at a young age is so essential. And yeah, thank you.
Great report.
Awesome report, thank you. Any questions from anyone? All right, we'll go on to our own salutes and recognitions, and I'll start us out. A big kudos to the Matilda production. I mean, seriously, I've always loved the story, but Mr. Sevens, the cast, the crew, parents, FOFA, this was a really great production. I seriously could have gone every performance. That's how much I liked it. So kudos on that. Anyone else on the board?
Yes, I have a couple of them actually. I'll add to it in terms of, so yes, indeed, I've been involved in the school board, but Mr. Sevens intentionally tries to bring in plays and things like that that include ensembles, she referred to them as, so it includes more students. And he said, yeah, we could do plays that have 6 or 7 students in them, but that doesn't benefit a whole lot of kids. So it's great. I mean, because I can't remember, were there like 30 or 40 some kids in the play kind of thing that was there? A Wisconsin
Kozik to Ben Graham. Miranda was just sharing with me how, like, Ben just does everything she asks him to do. And now Miranda is very influential. But with all of our
Thank you.